Hello guys and welcome back. So now in this video we will be fixing our hand offset and also we will be adding our shimmy actions. So for that what we're gonna do, we will open up miximo.com and from here if you search for shimmy you will find these animations. So what we can do now, we will download this right hand shimmy, okay, in which the player moves on the right side. So click on it and download this one, okay. Since if I show you the code, the climbing controller right here, we are already using the avatar right hand, okay. So download this one, and yes, of course we will be shimming on the left side as well, but what we're gonna do, we will mirror this animation for that, okay. And as you know that when the player is moving on the left, then the player will use the left hand, so we'll be typing a code for that, okay, in which we will be using the avatar left hand as well, okay. So the main thing right here for now is just download this right side shimmy action, okay. So click on download without skin, FBX for Unity, click download, and once you download it, just simply drag and drop it inside the climbing animations, okay. So this is the animation right here, breast hang shimmy. What we're gonna do, we will click on rig, change it to humanoid, copy from other avatar. Let's select the main mesh, click apply, click on animation. Now let's drag and drop the player. This is the animation, okay. If you play it, as you can see, the player is shimmy to the right side, as you can see. So first of all, what we're gonna do, we will, let's change this back into pose to true, okay, or you can take this, then change the based upon to original, then click apply, because we don't want any rotation in this. Then after this, if we select our other animation, okay, for example this hang hop up, as you can see there is this transform issue. Our shimmy action is a little bit above, as you can see. So what we will do, we will change the position y offset. So if I change the offset to 0.72, okay, I have test this value, and now if you notice, the both animation transform position y matches. As you can see, there is now no more distance issue. As you can see, both of them are now the same, okay. So you can increase or decrease this value according to your own animation, but I will leave this as 72 since it matches the other animation, as you can see, okay. So once you change the offset of this, now let's go ahead and click on our animator, and what we will do, we will drag and drop this in here, okay. Let's change its name to shimmy right, okay. Then we will drag and drop this again, and this time we will change this to shimmy left, okay. So left and right, and now what we will do with this shimmy left, we will mirror this, okay. Then after this, if we change to the scene view, now let's create our points for our shimmy action. So what we're gonna do right here is we will select our point 5, okay. First of all, change its name to long point, and let me remove the 5 from the end, okay. And let's increase the scale x of it to 9, for example, so that it can fit in this whole area, okay. So let me move this right here like this, okay. And if you want, you can cover that area as well, okay, but I will leave this right here, okay, because we want to just perform the shimmy actions in this area only, okay. I think it looks good. So once you add this, now in here, what we will do, we will create a empty game object like this. Let's name this as 1. So, and also let's make this unpack completely. Okay, we don't want to make this long pointer prefab now. So in here, create empty game object, name it as 1. Let's add an icon to it. For example, we will color it as red so that we can see it. Okay, let's move this 1 to that point, actually right here, for example. Then we will duplicate this and make it 2. Okay, let's duplicate this 10 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's now rename them as well. So 3, 4. Let me name them. So I will stop the video, name them in order to save our time. Okay, so once you name them, now let's select the point from 2 to 10. Hold down the shift button and move this as 1, 2. Okay, then press the shift button and click on 2, actually click on 3 and then select till 10. Then press the control button again and then 1, 2. Okay, now while holding down the control button, click on 3 so that it get removed. Now move it to 1, 2. Hold down the control button. Okay, keep holding it down, click on 4 so that it gets removed. Then 1, 2. Then remove 5th. Now 1, 2. Then 6th, then 1, 2, then 7, and then 1, 2. Then we have 8, so 1, 2. Then we will remove the 9, then 1, 2. Okay, so you can do this with all of these points. Let's add 10 points more in order to cover all this area. So we will say 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, let's name them again. Okay, so once you name them, let's now select the point from 11 till 20. Hold down the control button again and 1, 2. Then remove the 11th, then 1, 2. Let's do it for the other ones as well. 1, 2. Okay, once you do it till 17, let's remove the 18, 19, and 20. That is it. Okay, let me now select all of them and let me move all of them a little bit to the right side like this. Okay, so that the ends are, I mean, there is a little bit space between the point and the end area right there. Okay, so we now have the points on which we can perform the shimmy actions. So first of all, let's select all of them again. Okay, and make sure that they are on the layer climb. Then we will add a component and let's add the script climbing point. Okay, make their neighbor as 1. And once you do that, make this is point 2a true. This will be of connection type jump and make the point direction of them as -1. Okay, then if we select our first one, in this we will drag and drop the second, then in the second we will drag and drop the third, then in the third we will drag and drop the fourth, then select the fourth, drag and drop the fifth, and in the same way do it for the other points as well. And when you reach to the last one, which is this 17 right here, what we will do, we will simply leave this as empty. Okay, and now As you know that from the point 4, okay, we have a connection to this long point. So what we will do, we will now remove that connection. So if we click on point 4 in here, we will now provide this point, I mean this 5 point of this long point, okay. So select point 4 and drag and drop the fifth one in there, okay. So as you can see, there is now connection to this fifth point. You can select your closest point on your shimmy points, okay, and you can just assign that to your main point, okay, like this. And once you do this, let's now minimize our long point. And as you know, we have the shimmy left and shimmy right here. So what we will do, from the hanging idle, we will make a transition to shimmy right and then to the shimmy left. Then let's go ahead and type a code for this in order to perform this action. But now before opening up our text editor, first of all, let's select all of these again, okay, from 1 to 17, and make the connection type as move, okay. Since we will be moving from this points, okay, from 1 to second, then from second to third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and till the end point. Okay, so make sure that all of them are set to move. Then if we open up our climbing controller script, okay, right here in this if condition, we say that if the connection type is jump and we press the jump button, then we perform the climb up and down, right and left actions. Now what we're gonna do after this if condition, right here we will say else if, and now if the neighbor dot connection type is equals to the connection type dot move, then we want to perform shimmy actions. Right here make this C small, and right here the C will be capital, okay. So first of all, right here we will say current climb point equals to neighbor dot climbing point, just as we did right there for the jump. And then after this we will say that if the neighbor dot point direction dot x is equals to 1, it means the player want to move to the right side. So we will play the shimmy right animation. So for playing the shimmy right animation, we will use the same method as we did for the climbing. So what we can do, we can just copy that from there, paste it down below, and change the animation name to shimmy right, okay. And we need to provide the target matching for this. So for the start time, we will pass 0 because we want to target match whenever the shimmy right is called, okay. And now the end time will be, let me check it out. So if we play it right here, when the player lands the right hand, as you can see right here on this 30 percentage, okay. So we will say 0.30 f, okay. Then what we can do, we can just simply copy this and paste it down below. Now change this dot x equals to -1. So if it is -1, the player wants to move left, so we'll change the animation name to shimmy left, and the start time and end time will be the same for this one, okay. But as you know that when the player is performing the shimmy left animation, then this time the left hand will be the first which will land on the point. And as I told you in the starting of this video, we only have the avatar target set to the right hand. So now we have the animation on which we need to set the left hand, So in order to set the left hand right here, after this compare end time, we will now add one more parameter to our climb to ledge, which will be of type avatar target. Let me just actually cut this from here and paste it right here. So avatar target dot right hand. So what we're gonna do, we will remove the hand, the dot from there, and we will type hand. The hand will be equals to avatar target dot right hand. Then right here the body part will be now equals to hand. Then if you scroll down in the set hand position, we will now create another parameter which will be of type avatar target, and right here we will name this as hand. Okay, and now right here when we are setting the hand offset, we need to now make sure that if it is the left hand or the right hand. So up here we will create a variable by the name of horizontal direction. Actually, let's name this as hand direction. Okay, this will be equals to if else condition. So we will say if the hand is equals to the avatar target dot right hand. Okay, if that is the case, then we need to pass this transform ledge. So ledge will be dot right, else we will say minus ledge dot right. Okay, so what this means, it means that if the hand, okay, this hand is equals to avatar target dot right hand, then we will make the ledge dot right, and if it is not, then we will make the ledge left. Okay, so as you know that we can't use the dot left keyboard, so that's why we use the minus sign at the start. After this, now right here instead of this ledge dot right, we will pass the hand direction right there. Then as you know that this set hand position has two parameters now, so we need to pass the avatar target as well. So for that we will simply pass hand. Okay, then once we have the connection to our left hand, now after this, as you know, the climb ledge now need a parameter, which if it is the left hand or right hand, so on the shimmy left at the end we will set the avatar target to the left hand. Okay, then if we save the script, get back to Unity, and now let's test out our game. Okay, so if we go ahead and perform the first jump, as you can see it is working. Now second, third, let's move up. Okay, and now if we perform this one, as you can see now the player is not performing the shimmy action because it is showing this error. First of all, it is showing animation name is incorrect. Then we have these two other exception. So the reason behind this is actually this debug message which we are printing, which is animation name is incorrect. Okay, so if we select our hanging idle, you will notice that this hanging idle animation is too large, okay, too lengthy, as you can see. And when the player perform the shimmy left or the shimmy right, after that, as you know that it gets back to the hanging idle, and if the hanging idle animation is really lengthy, so that's why it is showing that error. So in order to fix that, what we're gonna do, we will click on our player script, and right here inside our perform action method, right here, as you can see, we wait for the animation till it is 20%. So we actually don't want to wait that much. So instead of this crossfade, now we will type crossfade in fixed time. Okay, and what this will do, this will now only wait just for 0.2 seconds. Okay, so this is the first solution, and the second solution is that you can just decrease the length of this hanging idle. But as you know that this hanging idle is lengthy because the player is breathing, so if we cut it out then it will not look good. So that's why I just change the crossfade to crossfade in fixed time in the script and save the script. Get back right here. Let's now test it out again. Okay, let's jump there now. So now if we try to perform the shimmy actions, as you can see, the player is moving to the left side. We can also move to the right side. Okay, for now the player offset is a little bit messed up, so as you can see the player hands are inside the wall and also the player feet, but don't worry, we will be fixing that in a moment. So now the shimmy action works. Now let's go ahead and set the offset for each of the climbing action. So for setting the player hand offset, what we will do, first of all, let me press enter right there so that we can see this line down below. And after this avatar target hand, we will now create another parameter inside our climb to ledge method, and that will be of type vector3, and let's name this as player hand offset, which will be equals to null. Then after this, in our set hand position right here, we will say vector3 player hand offset. Okay, name this as player hand offset just as we did right in our climb to ledge. Okay, player hand offset, and also add a null checker right there and here as well. Then what we will do for now, we will comment this code now. Okay, and then at the top we will create a variable by the name of offset value. This will be equals to now if else condition. So we will say if the player hand offset is not equals to null. Okay, it means that if we provided the player hand offset, then the player hand offset will be equals to not equals to, we will just simply say player hand offset dot value. Okay, then after this we will say else if the player hand offset is now not is actually equals to null, then we will say vector3, and for the x we will pass in out value, for the y we will pass up down value, and for the z we will pass left right value. That is it. Okay, now what we will do, we will remove the comment from there and then we will cut this from here now. And as you know that for each of our climbing action now we need to set the offset. Okay, because whenever we perform any climbing action the player hand offset is incorrect. Okay, so make sure that you cut that three values. Okay, don't copy anything or your values will be gone. And first of all, if we get back to Unity, okay, it shows this error on 99 because as you know that the set hand position now has three parameters and we didn't provide the third parameter right here. So let's provide the player hand offset right here. Okay, it will be actually inside these brackets. Now if we save that, get back right here, now you will notice that if we perform the climb up, as you can see the hand offset is now not set up. If you notice, okay, the player hands are not set up. So what we will do, we will now first of all set the hand offset for our first jump. Okay, so right here inside this if condition, when we perform the idle to climb animation, right after this player script.set control false, we will pass this value right there. Okay, this is the value which we cut from here. Okay, now we will paste that in the idle to climb like this. And then as you know that the climb to ledge method now needs the hand and the player offset. So what we're gonna do right here now is after this we will not assign the hand because we already type a code for that in which we say that where the left hand is needed, then we will only assign the left hand in that position. Okay, I mean on that climbing action. Right here we will be just adding the player hand offset. Okay, so we will say player hand offset after this start time end time. Then we will say new vector 3, and inside this vector 3 for the x we will now pass the in out value, which is this one, because when we press the jump button, okay, and the player jumps to the first point, the in out values will be set to this. Okay, these in out values will be set to this, and now we are passing this in out values right here. Okay, so first we will pass the in out value, then the up down value, then the left right value. Okay, that is it. If we save the script, get back right here, now you will notice that the first thing will work perfectly fine, as you can see. Okay, now after this we need to set the offset now for our other climbing actions. Okay, for these four, and then the shimmy right and shimmy left as well. So let's start from the climb up. In here, when the player performs the climb up, we will be setting the values now again. Okay, we might change these values, but for now let's assign these values to our climb up as well and see how does it looks. Okay, so right here now after this start time end time, we need to provide the player hand offset, so we can just copy it from there and paste it right here. After this start time and end time, we will paste it. Okay, then if we save the script and get back to Unity, now let's go ahead and test it out. How does it looks? Right here it is fine, but if we perform it right here, as you can see the values are messed up. Okay, so we need to make the player move a little bit out, and we need to move the player to the center. Okay, if we check the scene view, let's select the player. Okay, what we want to do, we want to move the player outside like this, then a little bit above, okay, like this, and then to the left side so that the player is in the center like this. Okay, so let me now close the game and set the values for my climb up. Okay, we will be now setting these values. Okay, so I have tested my game and these values worked perfectly fine for my climb up action. Okay, if I play the game and show it to you guys, okay, you will now notice that when we jump As you can see, the player hands are perfectly fine on the point, as you can see. Okay, so for the climb up I will leave these values. Now we need to do the same for the climb down, so let me copy these values. We might change them in the climb down, but for now let's just leave this as it is. Let's copy this player hand offset code, and after this paste it. Then let's go ahead and test it out on these values, that how does our climb down action see. So let's go ahead and jump to the first one, then to the second one. Now let's jump down. As you can see, there is some issue. We need to move the player hands a little bit outside. So right here the in out value will be changed. So as you know that we will be moving out our player just a little bit. So from 0.1 we will change it to 0.2. Okay, so now if we go ahead and check it out, okay, this is our first one. Then this is jump up or climb up. Now let's do climb down. Okay, as you can see the climb down is looking perfect as well, as you can see. Okay, so if you want your player to move out from the point, just increase this in out value. Okay, now we need to do for the climb right and climb left. So let's first of all see how our player looks in the right and left. So if you jump to the left, as you can see the player hands are just a little bit, I think, outside, but I think it looks good like this. Okay, but we just need to move it a little bit down. Okay, in the left jump. Now let's see the right jump. Okay, the right jump in this one we need to leave this as it is, because in this one, as you can see, the player hands are just fine. Okay, so we will leave the climb right as it is, and in the left one, as I told you, we will be moving the player hand a little bit down. So let's add the in out up down and left right values right there, and then we will copy this, paste it after this, and in order to move the player down I will change this up down value to 0.04, and we also want to move the player a little bit inside, so I will change this to 0.1. Okay, and then if we go ahead and play the game, okay, let's perform the action. Okay, there is our first jump, then second jump. Now if we move to the left, as you can see now the player hands are perfectly fine. Okay, on the ledge. Now let's jump to the right side. Okay, and on the right side it looks good as well. Okay, let's move to the left, then right. Now let's move up. Okay, it looks good. Move right here. It looks good right here as well. Let's move up right there. As you can see, it looks good. And if we perform the shimmy left, as you can see the player hands are a little bit inside. If we perform the shimmy right, as you can see it is a little bit inside. Okay, the player hands, and we need to move them a little bit down. Okay, if I show you right here, let's select the player. Okay, we need to move the player a little bit outside like this, and then down to this point. Okay, like this. So what we will do now, we will copy this again and we will paste it inside the shimmy right. Then let's paste it inside the shimmy left as well. Then copy the player hand offset, and after this start time and end time, paste it, and right here we will paste it after the have it our target left hand. Okay, so let's do that. Now let's try it on these values. Let's see how does it looks on these values. Okay, so if we save the script, get back right here to Unity, then let's go ahead and perform it. Okay, these are looking good as you can see. Okay, the player hands and feet are now as you can see outside. Okay, but on the shimmy right and shimmy left, the player hands are inside, and we don't want that now. So in order to move the player a little bit outside, for moving the player outside, we will change this to 2, and let's change this from 4 to 3 in order to move it down a little bit. Okay, and let's do the same for our left side as well. So we will paste it in the left side as well, because the right and left shimmy action, or you can say the shimmy animation, actually is the same. Okay, we just mirror that animation. Anyways, save the game. So now if we play the game, let's jump right there, then to the second one. And if you notice, now the player feet and everything are outside. Okay, now the player feet are not inside. And now if you notice, the player hands are looking good on the shimmy actions as well, as you can see. Okay, let me remove the click, and also let's disable the gizmos. Okay, so now if you notice, the player is perfectly fine. Okay, as you can see, and right here the player stops. Let's move to the left now. Okay, as you can see, everything looks perfectly fine now. Okay, so once you set the offset for all of these climb points, okay, then you are good to go. Okay, now the next thing which we want to do is we want to remove these cubes now. So what we're gonna do, we will select all of the points, the long point as well, disable the mesh renderer, and when you disable the mesh renderer, that will be it. Then if we play the game again, okay, now let's try to perform the parkour again. As you can see now, the player hands are now on the objects, as you can see. Okay, they look good. Okay, if we see it right here, as you can see, the player is performing parkour now really good. Okay, so now as you can see, the shimmy actions are added. Now what we want to do, we want that if the player is on the end of this shimmy actions, then we want to jump to this other side. Okay, let me show you. If we stop the game, okay, so when the player is on this point, okay, from here we want to jump to this side. Okay, and then from here the player can jump to this one, and then right here the player can perform shimmy actions. Okay, and in the same way in these directions.